Before we talk about any AWS services, let's fix one very important problem. Most people fail the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam not because they are weak or not smart enough, but because they try to memorize AWS like a dictionary. That approach never works. AWS does not expect you to memorize hundreds of services. AWS expects you to understand how the cloud works as a system. So, in this video, don't think of AWS as a massive list of services. Think of it as just 7 simple building blocks: compute, storage, databases, networking, security, monitoring, and cost. Every AWS service you hear about fits into one of these blocks. Once you understand this flow, AWS becomes logical, predictable, and much easier to remember. If this simple, system-based way of learning AWS helps you, please like the video, share it with anyone preparing for the Cloud Practitioner exam, and subscribe to the channel. We have multiple AWS videos and a full crash course that follows this exact learning-first approach. Now, let's start with the first and most basic building block: compute, running code in the cloud. Every application needs a brain that runs instructions. In the cloud, that brain is called compute. The most basic compute service in AWS is EC2. EC2 is simply a virtual computer. Instead of buying a physical machine, you rent one from AWS. You choose how powerful it should be, install an operating system, and run your application. This model feels very similar to traditional IT. You get full control, but you also get full responsibility. You manage updates, patches, scaling, and security. Now, AWS asks an important question. What if you didn't want to manage servers at all? That is where AWS Lambda comes in. With Lambda, you only upload your code. AWS automatically runs it when something happens, like a user clicking a button or a file being uploaded. There are no servers to manage, and you only pay when your code runs. This idea is called serverless. For the exam, just remember what it means: less management, automatic scaling, pay only for usage. So keep this crystal clear. EC2 means you manage servers. Lambda means AWS manages servers for you. Once code is running, the next natural question is, where do we store data? The most important storage service in AWS is Amazon S3. S3 is where you store files, images, videos, backups, documents, logs, and much more. It is extremely durable and designed to store massive amounts of data safely. One key idea many students miss is this: S3 is not a hard disk attached to a server. It is object storage accessed over the internet. If your application needs something that behaves like a real hard drive, AWS provides Amazon EBS. EBS is block storage that attacks directly to EC2 and is commonly used for operating systems and databases. Sometimes, many servers need to share the same files. That's when AWS provides Amazon EFS, a shared file system that multiple EC2 instances can access at the same time. So, think of storage like this: S3 for files and backups, EBS for disks attached to servers, EFS for shared folders. Once data is stored, we usually want to organize and query it efficiently. That brings us to databases. Databases are simply organized storage rules. If your data is structured and uses tables and rows, AWS provides Amazon RDS. RDS runs familiar databases like MySQL and PostgreSQL, but AWS handles backups, patching, and high availability. This is a very important exam theme. Managed services reduce your operational work. Not all data fits neatly into tables. Some applications need speed and scale more than structure. That's where DynamoDB comes in. DynamoDB is a NoSQL database that scales automatically and delivers very high performance. You don't manage servers, storage, or capacity planning. When data becomes massive and the goal is analytics and reporting, AWS uses Amazon Redshift. Redshift is a data warehouse, not an application database. So remember the pattern. RDS for relational data. DynamoDB for fast, scalable NoSQL. Redshift for analytics. Now, all these systems must communicate securely. That leads us to networking. Networking in AWS starts with something called a VPC. A VPC is your private network in the cloud. It provides isolation, control, and security. Inside a VPC, you define subnets, routes, and security rules. When users access your application, they don't type IP addresses, they use domain names. AWS handles this using Route 53, which is a DNS service. To make applications faster for global users, AWS uses CloudFront. CloudFront caches content closer to users, reducing latency and improving performance. As traffic grows, applications must remain available. Elastic load balancing spreads traffic across multiple servers so no single server becomes a point of failure. Now that traffic is flowing, AWS must control who is allowed to do what. Security in AWS begins with IAM, Identity and Access Management. IAM controls users, roles, permissions, and access policies. This is one of the most heavily tested topics in the Cloud Practitioner exam. AWS follows the principle of least privilege, meaning users receive only the permissions they actually need. To protect data, AWS uses encryption, managed through AWS KMS. KMS manages encryption keys for data stored in S3, EBS, and databases. To protect applications from attacks like DDoS and malicious traffic, AWS provides Shield and WAF. Even secure systems must be observed continuously. That brings us to monitoring. AWS CloudWatch monitors metrics, logs, and alarms. If something slows down or breaks, CloudWatch alerts you. AWS CloudTrail records every action taken in your AWS account. This is critical for auditing and security investigations. AWS Config tracks resource changes over time and checks compliance. Finally, AWS pricing is based on usage. On-demand means pay-as-you-go. Reserved means long-term commitment for lower costs. Spot means very low cost but interruptible resources. AWS budgets help control spending and avoid unexpected charges. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this flow. Compute runs code. Storage stores data. Databases organize data. Networking connects everything. Security controls access. Monitoring watches systems. Pricing controls costs. If you understand this flow, you are no longer memorizing AWS. You are already thinking like an AWS Cloud Practitioner. Also, don't forget to check out our video on the entire AWS Cloud Practitioner course that we cover in just 1 hour. Before you go, test yourself and answer these questions in the comments. 1. Can you name the 7 AWS building blocks from memory? 2. What is the key difference between EC2 and Lambda? 3. Which building block does Amazon S3 belong to and why? Drop your answers in the comments below. I make sure to read and respond to every one. If this video helped you understand AWS instead of just memorizing it, please like, share, and subscribe to Knowledge Catch for more beginner-friendly cloud explanations. I'll see you in the next video.